Quick one here. Austin Ekeler to your Commanders. This is
Let's
your
go.
worlds colliding.
Hail the Commanders, hail victory.
Is this your favorite moment of all free agency?
I mean, let's be clear. One of my favorite players in the NFL. One of my favorite players in the NFL. One of my favorite investors in Fantasy Life, FantasyLife.com, where the free newsletter can be had every single day. Austin Ekeler going to my Commanders. So absolutely love the move. Love the move for Austin. Love the move for my Commanders. Love the move for Fantasy Life. We're about ready to go on and raise another round. We'll see if Austin, with his new money, wants to come into the next round. But what I will tell you is,
no pressure, Austin.
No, it's no pressure. It's fine. No pressure at all. We're gonna have plenty of people that are interested in investing. But what I was gonna say is that I hate this for his fantasy value. I have Austin Ekeler on a number of dynasty teams, and fantasy value wise, and Austin's a hardcore fantasy player himself. It'll be interesting to see where he drafts himself next year, because the fact is that he's going to a team that has a suspect offensive line. My beloved Commanders will have a rookie quarterback. And he has real competition in the backfield from Brian Robinson, who's also one of my favorite players. We talked last show about Brian Robinson's on the list for fantasy ride or die this year.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. I mean,
how quick it goes.
Because Austin Ekeler, by the way, one of my former ride or dies. The first year he had 18 touchdowns, and he was my ride or die that year, and it worked out great for me. It's a committee bet. He's likely going to lose early down and goal line work to Brian Robinson, right? So the question is can Ekeler get back to, getting in space, being used in the passing game? Can he basically be a better version of what Antonio Gibson was for that team last year? And I think he can be. I think he's got that kind of talent, and I think Kingsbury is going to want to use him and get him in space that way. But still, he's in a committee, with a good running back.
The other problem too is that you're minus 150 to draft Jaden Daniels, who had 1,100 rushing yards last year, so you add that in.
And 1,000 yards the year before that.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a mess overall. And also, Brian Robinson is one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL.
Agree.
He just doesn't, because the offensive line, because no one outside of you and Commanders fans pays that much attention to the Commanders if they're not on national television. So it's not a great situation for Ekeler.
Yeah, fantasy-wise, but good for the offense. But it does feel like. I guess we'll talk about it when we get to quarterbacks. I don't know what's going on with my Commanders in terms of what they're going to do. It does feel like it's leaning towards.
It's been a lot of buzz building towards Jaden Daniels. Yeah.
And with the signing of Marcus Mariota suggests that.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of that, but just feels like if you're thinking of who's going to be a backup to the guy we're drafting, feels like Mariota is more similar to Jaden Daniels than he is to Drake May in terms of how you would run that offense.
I'll say this. I think Drake May right now is more athletic than Marcus Mariota at this stage of his career.
I think Jay Croucher is.
So I didn't really. A lot of people understandably leaned in. I didn't buy into that at all. I do. If you had to ask me, I think it'll be Jaden Daniels number 2, but that didn't move the needle at all for me.
Interesting. I would have thought just with the playbook, it kind of overlaps more if you're designing similar.
This is harsh. I don't really think Mariota has any strengths right now where it doesn't move. If Cliff Kingsbury builds his playbook around what Mariota does as a strength to match whoever they take it to, that's very problematic. It just doesn't matter.
I'll argue this. I think if whoever's starting quarterback of the Commanders goes down, I'd rather Howell in there than Mariota.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
I don't understand the Mariota thing at all.
I didn't. That one was just like.
Is Howell getting traded?
I didn't look at the contract at all.
He might be.
Is it like? It could just be a camp arm? Is it not guaranteed money?
You do wonder about that. Well,
let's just be like, hey, this is
1 year, $6 million deal. Now we don't know what the guarantees are. We'll look that up in between when we finish the running back. Yeah. So he's probably there to stay. Might even buy a couple Airbnbs in the D.C. area. I know the stadium is nowhere near D.C., but figured I'd throw that one out there. Our last one here, Gus Edwards. Matthew, when I read this name off the graphic, you seemed most excited about the Gus bus going to the Fighting Harbaughs with the Chargers.
I just think about how Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman like to run their offense, right? And again, obviously, Roman had Gus in Baltimore for a number of years. They want to run the ball a lot. They want to go up the middle. They want to Gus Edwards is like a prototypical Jim Harbaugh running back, I feel like, to me. And so as somebody who Gus Edwards is going to have another, they'll probably draft a pass catching running back or something like that, but we're going to look up a year from now and Gus Edwards is going to have another season with about 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's going to be touchdown dependent, but he's going to, I actually think his role is going to be more secure in with the Chargers than it was in Baltimore, where it was sort of like he was kind of in and out with him or Dobbins, and then him and Mitchell, and just, Justice Hill. It's all a mess. Like, I think he will have a very consistent role. When we talked to Joe Ortiz, like, I talked to him at the Combine, and by the way, it's, looks like you're moving on from Ekeler, and he wouldn't commit there. Obviously they did, but how important the run game was to Harbaugh and Roman.
Until they draft Blake Corum.
I was just about to make that joke.
But no.
Wasn't really funny.
But
see if we get there.
maybe they will, but I feel like, and you've studied the tape a lot more than I, but I feel like Gus Edwards is a proven in the pros Blake Corum, right? I mean, like similar
fair.
running backs.
That's
and
fair
so
enough.
it's just like, so whatever. I actually feel like they'll draft like a pass catcher.
An actual, like, scat back.
Yes.
Right, because that's how Michigan's backfield was. Corum was the Gus role. Donovan Edwards, who went back to school, who we're going to be very excited about 2 years from now, was the Jahmyr Gibbs, we like to call it.
Yeah, so I feel like they'll get a guy like that. Like, I think,
Yeah.
I would have said if they didn't sign him, then yeah, Corum makes a lot of sense. But I actually think, who knows, maybe they will still. But like,
Samaje Perine type operator.
yeah, I think Gus Edwards is going to get 15 touches on a run-heavy, good offense next year.
Yep.
With Justin Herbert under center, and he's going to score double-digit touchdowns.
Yep. He should be
He will
ahead of-
outperform ADP. Gus Edwards is another one of those guys that you're going to not want to draft, and then come week 7 and you're desperate for anybody, you're like, here's a guy that's getting me 12 points a week.
Yeah. Not as big of a name, but you'd expect that. I mean, he's probably outperformed Tony Pollard, right? Better situation.
I would rather Gus Edwards at cost than Tony Pollard.
Yep.
Next year, 100%. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.